our lockdown workshop. It's a lovely sunny Saturday towards the end of May. Don't know when you're going to see this. We've got quite a backlog of videos at the moment, so this one could be hitting you sometime in July when it will be more sunnier, hopefully, or we'll be sat here moaning about how hot it is because we're hitting 40 degrees again. Right, what have we got today? So last one we did was something different, assuming they all end up going up in order. Last one was a bit of a how-to, which we haven't done one of them before. So it's specific about things. So we're kind of back on what I end up normally doing, which is not what I want to be doing. I'd rather be looking about with them lot back there, but I've got to keep these coming through. Otherwise I'll just end up to the ceiling in them. This one's a bit of my own fault. So I was talking to somebody at the club who was having a pretty much like me, is trying to downsize and have a bit of a clear out, and he said, well, I've got a frame you can have. I know, yeah, because I think you know I've got a spare Ultiga group set for sale, and one of my ideas was either sell it as a group set or stick it on a bike and sell it, or stick it on a bike and make a gravel bike out of it. Well, I had a look round, and to be honest, gravel bike frames are selling for stupid money. And they're not worth it, to be honest, because they're just heavy shit road bikes. I've had a look and see if I can buy a road bike that's got enough clearance to get a decent sized winter gravel tyre in. So you need to be about 32C tyre, which is about 1.25 inches or something in old money. Can't find them either at a reasonable price. So and you obviously you have to try and judge. And weirdly, this one came available. So he did mention, I've got a frame. And I went, well, okay, what is it? If it's a carbon frame, I'll snap your hand off. I'll just take it. I'll buy it off you, reasonable price. Something like a Planet X. Stick the group set on. I've got a spare set of wheels. Roll it out the door, and clear out a whole load of stuff in one hit. Now, hold that thought. Because at the moment the market is flooded with bikes, and as a result it's driving down the price of bikes. There's still loads of people out there that are trying to sell bikes at ridiculous prices. They bought a Pinarello for 10 grand and they're trying to sell it for 9 grand. Nobody's going to pay that kind of money for a second-hand bike, at least not anybody with their head screwed on. Anybody that does is easily departed from their money anyway. But I have kind of a ceiling. I will not spend more than 2 grand on a normally spec'd carbon road bike, regardless of make, because you just do not know the history, and you're paying for the name. And if you're over 2 grand, you're paying for the name anyway. So it's all the money's in the frame, not the group set. Now, there is an exception to that. If something like a giant Propel came up with a D2i spec on it, then I would consider that, because there's good value in the frame, but it's not all the value in the frame. The value is in the components on the bike. So it's that kind of thing. You've got to do that math in it. So when I said hold the thought, rolling forward again, the market's flooded. You make most of your money at the moment. Actually, if you want to sell your bike and it's an expensive bike, you will make more money selling it as parts. So sell the wheels, sell the crank, sell the group set, sell the frame, and then sell the finishing kit, or chuck it in with the frame, and you'll make more money than you will selling the bike. So the idea was I'd just sell the group set. But then this arrived. So I did take it, obviously, because it's sat here. It's not carbon. And I was told it was just a aluminium frame with a set of carbon forks. And I thought, well, that's fine. I could chuck the group set on it, and then I'd maybe sell it for a little bit more than I would just sell the group set for. And I've chucked a whole load of spare parts out the spare parts cupboard at it, and I've got rid of a whole load of stuff in one go. Would I make any more money? Probably not. Well, I have a lot more room and a lot less spare parts kicking around, which are a liability because they're getting older and losing value anyway. Yeah, so it ticks a load of boxes. And then Dave, of Kaz and Dave, local club joke, dropped me this off and talk about over delivering. So as you can see, it's pretty much a full bike. The only thing it's missing is pedals. We don't sell bikes with pedals anyway, though I can chuck a set on. It's missing the saddle, the saddle clamp, okay, that can be a bit awkward because that's specific to that size of tube. So have I got anything for that? I've got 2 seat posts. I've got a couple of clamps off various bikes and things. Right. Pardon? Parts for another bike, which is kind of blown the surprise on that one. Chuck the phone over there. Anyway, where were we? Right, so it's got bars, and this is the real killer. It's got a group set on it. It's a bit of a mixer, so it's the Sora levers, Sora rear derailleur, 105 front meg. So almost bottom of the range group set, not quite because there is the Claris and the Turkey, but out of the decent group sets, this is the bottom. It's kind of the bottom of the range, except for that's one behind the Ultegra, so that's pretty good. But I'll be honest, it's almost identical to the Sora and the Tigra, which is the next one down. So we go Sora, Tigra, 105, Ultegra, Dura-Race. On the Shimano's, anything beyond Sora, don't worry about it. It's just Claris, Tawny, Aviva, Arrivo, Dulcis, whatever. They're all identical. Now, weirdly, this is the slightly better Sora, so it's the upgraded Sora. So it's, if you remember, some of the Soras had a little switch lever there, so you went up on that lever, you went down on that lever, which was an absolute pig when you were on the drops. So these were the next generation along. So they actually had the change up, change down like the Ultegra on there. They're actually not a bad group set, to be honest. I find that they're not, they're probably, if you went back to the previous generation, these are equivalent to the Tigras or the 105s anyway. So pretty much all of this is just the previous generation rebranded up as Sora from 2 models above. So they're a fairly decent thing. It's got an FSA crank on it, which I used to poo-poo these a bit, but they're actually quite bulletproof. And the good thing about these is they're really cheap to replace the rings on, whereas if you bought the correct one for this group set, they're actually quite expensive. You're talking about 100 quid or more to replace the rings. You could probably get a set of replacement rings for this for 50 quid. So there we are. And it's got set brakes on it as well. It's got the Tecro brakes on. So all in all, it's a bit of a bargain for nothing. So at this point, I'm like, well, what do I do with it? I don't really, because it's not a carbon frame, I'm not going to get any massive value. I'm probably not going to get that much difference selling the group set as to selling this, and I need a set of wheels, which means I'm going to have to take a spare set of my wheels. So I had a quick look around and spotted a set of wheels, so I thought, well, I'll take them wheels, and if they turn out that they're better than my Planet X AL30s, which are getting on a bit now, I'll take them and chuck the AL30s on here. The only problem is then you've got a few too many Planet X parts on. It looks a bit too much of a bitzer. It's got a Planet X stem already, and I didn't really want to go any further than that. But the wheels that have come are actually, they're probably very similar to the wheels that would have been on this bike anyway. They're kind of a mid-range axle rim, cup and cone. I think they're cup and cone. I need to go and explore that. We'll go and play explore. So anyway, got a set of wheels. Paid about 40 quid for the wheels with tyres, no cassette. So I've had to go scrounging around for a cassette because this is a 9-speed. It's okay, the other bike I've been working on is an 8. 9-speed. So I have managed to pick up a reasonably priced 9-speed cassette to chuck on here. So we have got a 50-34 compact crank. I think it's a 28. Let me just check. It's either a 28 or a 25. Yep. Right, we've ordered a 28, so we've got a 28 on a 50-34. So this is going to be actually quite a decent starter bike for somebody, or a good winter bike. So it's got a good ratio for winter, or it's great for a starter. So the tyres that came on it are 23s. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with them, whether I'm going to stick a set of 25s on to make it more smoother and less twitchy for a new person, and I'll just ride the 23s in the winter. We'll see where we go with that. But so I think that's my plan, is to go and have a rummage in the parts box, see if I can find anything I'm pretty sure I've got a seat. It's a mountain bike seat, but that'll not hurt. I do have another one, but it's an expensive Admani, one of those USM Admani twin thingy ones, and they're about £100 and something for the seat. So I'm not going to let that go because I'll use that myself when mine get worn out. So what we'll do is we'll give this a quick M check as far as we can go. We'll check the wheels. And make sure the wheels are ready to go and get on. Fix, service anything we need to. See if we can find the bits we need to. And just see if we can put this together. Check the chain. I haven't checked any of this. I don't even know if the gears work. Other than I've just dropped the chain off there. Just have a look at that. But let's tear into it and see where we end up. I think it'll clean up quite nicely. It looks a bit rougher than it is. It's got a lot of muck on the frame, but it's got quite a few chips and things in places, but I think we're doing all right. I think so. Where do I think it's going to be value-wise? At the moment, probably about 250 sold. Which, if I get 250 for it, I think possibly if it cleans up better and it looks all right, we might be able to push to 300. But you can start to pick up a well-worn Planet X Pro Carbon, with a halfway there group set on it. For 300 to 350, so I think I'm pushing it. I think 250 probably tops with this, which if we get 250 for it, the frame's not cost me anything, probably buy Dave a beer or so. The wheels have cost me 40 quid. The thing was about, just the freewheel actually dropped on a great bargain with that. I think it was about 20 quid. So I'm probably about 60 quid into this, plus what I'm taking out of the parts bucket, and I'm pretty much will write that off because I wouldn't have sold them anyway. It's out of the parts bucket. I might stick a set of pedals on it, but if I do, they'll be out the parts bucket. There'll just be some cheap plastic things, and then we'll see where we go with that. Right, okay, let's crack on. Right, hopefully you can see what I'm up to. So we're just going to give this a quick once over on the frame and just see if we've got any issues. What I'm looking for is if there's any frame damage. Paint chunks are okay. I'm fine with that. It is what it is. What I'm feeling for now is just letting my hands feel if there's any dents or deformations in the frame anywhere. There's a bit of sticker or something we have to get off there. Somebody's had something stuck on there. It's going to be picky fingers in that. You don't need to watch me do that. Can't really check the thing, but it feels good from what I can feel. I'm not hearing any clunks or anything. I'll have to adjust that. That irritates me. That one's taking up there. That looks okay. Bars look okay. There's no damage to these. They're probably not where I'd like them line-wise, but we can sort that out once the bike's together. How do the brakes look? Brakes look fine. I'm a bit concerned about how far out they are. I might do something about that. I might take them off. They look like they've been overpacked. There's quite a lot of corrosion on the back of there as well. There's probably not a lot we can do about that. Weirdly though, it says they're carbon forks on the. It says carbon fibre on there, but I'm guessing the carbon fibre, that must be a metal boss, and then the carbon fibre's down here, and then aluminium at the bottom, because yeah, I think that's got a thing. It says carbon fibre, so all I can do is go on that. Yeah, Alfred's special. Bottom bracket, it feels smooth enough. Right, it's got a little bit of play in it, so we might have to go and investigate that, see what sort of bottom bracket it is. I mean, it might be just wants tightening up, and it's just not been put back together properly, but we'll get it off, we'll have a look at that. So we'll strip that off. We'll check the chain when we get a wheel on it. The derailleur looks reasonably straight. It's no sign that it's bent or anything. Frame looks straight. I can't see any signs of anything around there. There's nothing on there. That feels good. It's actually in surprisingly good nick for that. Threads in the wheels look reasonably good, so that's okay. So all in all, I think we've got a decent frame here to build on. Even the cable adjusters, that one looks like it's been replaced recently. This one looks a little bit scabby, but they are both outside, so we'll have to see how it goes. But no, I think that all in all, I've not ended up with a bad bike. It's missing its plugs there, so we'll stick some screws in there. I might put some water bottles on. And we'll see how we go with that. I might even chuck a water bottle in. I'll stick a water bottle on there, blank them off, and I might even chuck a water bottle in with this. Brake pads look okay, not too bad. Look a bit of a... Oh no, that's just the way the pads are. Yeah, it's the same on this one too. Right, that's not bad. Okay, right. I might have to manually operate the camera again. Picked off with the thing. So, I was on the Tinterweb and I found these. So they are concert wheels. From what I can tell, they look pretty similar to axle rims, which are the kind of the entry-level stuff that comes with a Shimano. They've got a decent set of tyres on. They've got a set of Continentals, the 23 266s. So it's like I said, I might steal them and stick them on my winter wheels and put the 23s off my winter wheels on here, which are Continental Ultra Sports. So they're almost identical. They're just a slightly bigger size. They're almost the same tread pattern as well, if you look at them. So I think we might do that, and what that does is that just puts a nicer ride on for this. If I'm going to sell it as a beginner's bike, let's stick some slightly bigger tyres on it. This tyre holds there, the other tyre doesn't. I think it's got a pinch flat. We'll just give the wheels a quick inspection as well. I haven't given them a proper going over yet. So the freewheel hub looks okay. There is a spacer ring on there, which I'm glad about because I've run out of spacer rings, and there's also a rubber seal, which I need to keep that in place. So we could do with these. Right. Well, that feels okay actually. That doesn't feel too graunchy. We'll take that off. So we've got 2 springs. That's always a good start. That feels nice. Nice concert hub. Now these are weird because they've got this thing on here, and I don't know what that's all about. So I'm going to go and have a quick play with that because I noticed the other one's got it on as well. And I don't recognise. I've not seen this hub before, so it's a bit of a voyage of discovery as to what that does. So we're just going to see if it I think it unscrews. It's kind of integral for the so that's unscrewed, and I think what that's doing is that's just providing the dust seal for that. Now what I couldn't work out was whether these were cup and cone or whether they were sealed bearings, and I still can't tell. There's a lot of grease in there, so they do look like they've been well maintained, and I think the idea of that is it's so long and thin it stops any muck from getting in there, and if it does get through, it gets trapped in that second section. So now I notice the front wheels have got even more of that on them. They've got one on both sides, so we'll just do that up carefully. I'm sure there's a torque setting, but it's not under load, so I don't think it needs to go anything higher than that. Right. So just give it a quick visual inspection, just check all the spokes are good, they sound good. Right, the only thing I haven't checked is if it runs straight. Looks pretty good for as much as I can tell. So let's get them off. Can't find out where my spanners are, my tyre spanners. Right, I'll bring you back when I've found my tyre spanners. So we've got that tyre off. Just going to give the rim a quick once over, just make sure we've not got any dings or dangs or dongles in it. That feels fine. No bad rims these, so they look okay. About the same weight as the Planet X ones. I think it's just this question mark over whether or not they've got the right bearings in there. That's making me question whether I use these or the Planet X ones. I know the Planet X are bearings, and I've got ceramics in mine, so I don't really want to. Oh, way up, we've got one that's missing a spring. So we're just going to locate a spring for that. Try and go located. We're back. First trip into the parts bucket. Right, I think we're just going to steal one off one of these because the pot of springs that I should have doesn't appear to be in here. So just steal one off that. Stick it on here. Might pinch these skewers anyway. They might work better with my no, we'll keep them. They're Shimano's. They're the Shimano ones. Right. Doing a quick switcheroo. I realised I'd actually ended up with the wrong set of skewers in a wheel when we did a wheel swap earlier in the week to lend somebody a thing. So I've ended up with the skewers off Ken's bike on one of my wheels. So quickly put them back before I make that mistake again. Right. This is a bit graunchy, this one. So I think the first thing we need to do is just whip this one to pieces. Have a quick look, see what's going on. Let's get my parts bucket over here. Yeah. It's either over tightened or we've got it. So we'll find out whether it's cup or cone now anyway. Wheels. Yeah. Skinny spanners. Anybody's guess what size we're on? 15. That looks good. Any Allen key hole sizes? No. Looks even smaller. I'm going to get to use all of them here. I think I've ever been down to a 13. Look at that. I'm pretty sure this is cup and cone now. So we just slackened it off. That is way too tight. I suspect somebody's been in here. Somebody's been in here before us. 15, 13. That's not a 15, that's a 16. Yeah, that's the fact that I can't undo that with my fingers. Yeah, that's much better now. That's been over tightened. Somebody has been in here. Right, I think we'll probably get away with just packing a bit of grease in there and setting it up properly. So let me find my magic grease dispensing manipulator. So normally I would strip this out and clean it, but I'm not seeing any evidence to see we've got contamination. I think the main problem was it's been over tightened and possibly just needs repacking with grease. So we will try that. Use my finger to smudge it in. Actually, what we won't, we will flip it over and do the other side. So let's get the try and get this one in a bit deeper than I got the other one. That's it. So what you want to do is force the nozzle in past the seal, pump it, and then let the grease find its own way into the balls, and then when it's full it will start to come past and out past the seal on the other side. So rule with these is generally finger tight, back them off a smidgen, and then repeat several times until you find its happy place. Because as you bear down on this, it will actually crank that bottom bolt on the playing the thread into it anyway. So what you want is a smooth bearing. So we will do this, like I said, we'll do this a couple of times before we find out where this particular bearing's happy spot is. I try to help it sometimes by turning this one. Now it's okay to have a little bit of play but not too much play. So this is where I might have gone too far the other way this time. So then we'll just slacken that off. You've got to watch what the, ideally I could do with pinning this bottom bolt. Yeah, that's slackened off quite a bit now. So we'll just go around the other way. The problem is that as you tighten it up, you need to watch what the axle's doing. So you need to keep an eye on that and make sure that as you tighten it up, it's not rotating that as well. It's pretty good actually. Quite happy with that. Still a bit too much play. If I can feel the play in my fingers like that. So again, slacking it off. So like I said, you can grip the bottom axle, but the problem is there's no nut on this bottom axle for me to do that. So we'll try it finger tight this time, and then the action of tightening it up will probably rotate it around that. So it's just gone there. Right, so we'll try something naughty now. You shouldn't really do this one. If I can get another, have we got another? Got a 14. Actually, there might be a 13 on here. Nope. Nope. 17. 16. What's that one? 14. All I want to do is just see if I can get enough on that to hold it, just to give this a little tweak out. Oops. That's the 15. That's the 13. So why won't that go in? Ah, there we go. So just enough. I need the 15 to. Just got to be careful I don't damage the spanners. No, that sounds good. Take that off. We don't like that. Somewhere on here. Oh, there we go. Found it. And what we'll do is we'll stick these lovely, yummy Planet X. Oops, not till we put these on. We won't. Let's put these back on. So that was a fairly straightforward wheel strip and service. They're not often that easy. Just somebody's next door's gate go, so there'll be somebody coming here. I'm expecting somebody coming to collect something. Right, so that's that one on. So all we've got to do now is just stick a inner tube in on that one as well. And I think we're good on that. Right, bring it back when, boom, back in the room. Right, so I have to come out with stock bucket, brand new in a tube. It's the first thing we've taken out, the stock bucket that's new. So we'll just slap this on here. I'll keep the original tyres on for now. I might make a decision on that. If somebody wants to swap them over, I'll swap them over. The only problem with these are I think they've got slightly longer stems, so I just need to go and check that I don't have anything smaller to put on here. It shouldn't be that much of an issue, to be honest. It'll be a bit long, but hey ho, it is what it is. Right, tyre on. So that's almost 2 wheels done. We're almost up to a rolling chassis. Right, so second new part. Great purchase, cost me about 20 quid. Quite hard to get hold of these now because 9 speeds is cracking on a bit. It's a very base model one, so I would guess it is a Sora or possibly a Tigra. Or even cheaper, but it doesn't really matter. Possibly cheaper because it is one lump, so you generally find that they are a bit cheaper. There we go. We've actually got the insertions tool here, so all we need to do is just work out where the fat bit is and then see if we've got it right. Right, wish me luck. There you go. Right, this is where we find out we definitely need the spacer. So, back off again. And find out where we put the spacer down. Not very happy about that, that looks a bit scabby. Need to top this up. Oh dear. Give this a quick clean out. There's a lot of shit behind there. Sorry, a lot of rubbish behind there. Do we getting that out now? Because I won't be able to get to that once the thing's on. Not that you'll see it once the thing's on. There's my scabby cloth. Just keeping an eye on the gate up there because I've got somebody coming to collect some wood. So that's more stuff out of the workshop. For those of you who don't know, I am trying to empty the workshop so I can move out. Move into the new workshop. Might have mentioned it a few times. It's not perfect, it's a bit better. Right, where's that washer gone? Right, so that's hopefully that's a 9-speed spacer. It's always a bit of a voyage of discovery with some of these because you don't know what exactly that is. Now I was told this is a 9-stroke. God, I hope to go on the right one. Yes, it's a 10-stroke 11. Now I know you can put a 9 on a 10 on that. So hopefully, if I can get this flipping thing off, they don't seem to want to come off there. Hopefully this fits. All right, where's the big one? There's the chunky one. There it is. Hopefully this will fit. They seem to tighten up very well at all. I'm not sure whether I do need that spacer. I know I didn't use my tool. Right, that might be a bit too much the other way. Let's have a look. It just didn't seem to. So this was this was sold as a 9-stroke 10 or a 10-speed. Now I think the 9s go straight on that. I think that's spot on that. I think if we'd have stuck an extra one in, it would have been too much. So we'll keep that as a spare. That can go in the wheels box because that is a proper spacer. We'll find out anyway. I mean, it doesn't shift it much, but what it does do is it stops it dropping. Well, actually, the next one that it drops through is just for 11s anyway. So we'll find out anyway when we put it on if it's not indexed right, or I can't or if this is loose, but it doesn't feel like it's loose, and I haven't finished torquing this down yet, so no, that's fine. You would feel it was loose if it wasn't right. So now I have put the whizzy thing down. Oh, it's in it already. I need the chain whip. It's probably not so much of an issue tightening this up without the chain whip on this free hub, but that's it. Spot on that. Right, let's go stick this on the bike. Right, this ought to be a laugh. Let's see where this is. Let's crank all that on the way down. See how it fits. Right, so what I'm looking for now is just where this is lining up, and it's not looking a million miles off, to be honest. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly flick this back on and get it out of there. And now covered in shit. Not that bad, that. Right, let me stick some kitty pedals on that, if I can find some. I'm rummaging in the parts bucket. Right, so left, right hand side, right hand thread, in theory. Threads feel good anyway. I think the front derailleur might want some adjustment to it. Let's just change gear a bit. That's better. Pedal spanner. I don't see this very often. Nearly always Allen keys now. I'll just stick this one on. So this is because it's on the left hand side, it's a left hand thread. If you can't tell, sometimes they nail the left hand one, so you know it's a left hand thread. And you've got the right one on. There's nothing else to screw the crank up. It's putting the wrong pedal on the wrong side. Look at that puppy. Not that there's any doubt I got the right one there. Perfectly indexed. Don't have to do anything to that. I think the front ring might want some attention. I'm getting a bit of grind there. I think it wants lowering down a bit. Let's just see how we go up. And the adjuster. Yeah, that looks okay. Let's just put it back in the middle and put that back down. Now I think this might be bent, and that's what's causing me some issues here. And I think, pretty sure that's supposed to be straight. Yeah, I think it'll straighten it up as well. See if that's made any difference. Right, so I think that it wants lowering down slightly. Have we got any tension on that? No. Do we have an adjuster? We should have an adjuster. An adjuster that doesn't want to adjust. It's quite possible we could have hit rock bottom on the adjuster. I think it does want twisting around a bit. It seems to be slightly canted across, but it could just be that it's bent. It does look like it's slightly bent, but it might be just easier for me to take the adjuster around. If I can find the 5mm. Right, are we under tension? No, good. Might even want dropping down, to be honest. I think somebody's definitely had this derailleur. This isn't the original derailleur. And I think it's possibly too high as well, because normally that would be a bit lower. You'd have that sticker on there and it would definitely be a bit lower. Right. See if that makes any difference. A little bit of difference. Does it still go up? That's okay. Oh yeah, that one's definitely wants tweaking down. Yeah, I think that's a bit too high. I think you need to lower that down a bit. This thing is getting on my nerves. I think that is a bit better. It's not much, we've only moved it down about a mil, but it was definitely too high, I think. Somebody pinged me. Stop recording. Oops, the camera turned off. So I'm not sure where you were. I think I'd just adjusted this, and you can see it's dropped down about 2 mil. It's a lot closer to that thing now, so I'm a bit happier. I think they must have had that on for a bigger ring, or when they put it on, they didn't quite put it in the right place, or they tried to copy where the band was for the previous one, and the bands aren't necessarily the same across different makes. So we'll just give it a quick up and down now. That's good. That's slightly out because we're on the big ring. Taking the trim out of it, up onto the big ring, down, adjustment, down onto the little ring, back up. Indexes really well actually. That's lovely, that. Pleased with that. Right, that's that bit done. So we've got a drivetrain, we've got a wheel. Let's stick another wheel on, so I'm sick of this thing spinning around, it's getting my flipping head in. Right, that's that one. See how the brakes are doing. Well, they're not going to because they're off, aren't they? So we've got the... Are we back? Right. So I'm just giving the brakes a quick once over. Yeah, they're quite stiff. It could be they're just not lined up properly. It could be the back wheel's not on straight. Because we've got the old, I haven't put it in the, I haven't put it on the ground to do this routine. But I do think in this case it's probably just the brakes are off centred. Yeah, so we just need to adjust the brakes there. These rims could be wider as well, so they stop well. Look at that wheel. How bad is it? Have we got any buckles? That's not bad. That it's got a little bit of a wiggle. We'll try and we might have a go at taking that out. But no, all in all, that's not bad. It's not that way. It's a very slight wiggle side to side. So I think we can probably do something about that. We'll get it on the truing frame. No, that's okay. Let's look at the front wheel now. You can see what I can see. That front wheel's running really well now on them bearings since I did them. Right, let's just have a quick look, see where we are. Miles off. Just need adjusting, I think. Well, they're fine. Cool. Well, look at that then. Let's. So the only thing I wanted to do now was just get the bottom bracket off and just see what was going on with that bottom bracket. Find out why we'd got a. Oh, we haven't checked the chain either. Let's do a quick chain check on it. Oh, there's tons of life. It's looking at that chain, it's hardly been used. I bet if we put the chain cleaner on that, it'll come up looking like brand new. There we go. Can't grumble at that. Yeah, I reckon we're probably getting close to, we're definitely at 250 now. We might be able to push it a little bit higher because it's got a new back block on. I think it's all right, that. Not a bad bike. Right, let's see what we've got in the parts bucket. I shall go and have a rummage. Well, I will once I've measured it. So we need to find the measury device. So it is a 35.4 outer diameter or something like that. And I would guess this is a 31.6 internal, if that's the case. 31.6 There we go, 31.6. Right, let me go and have a look at scrounge around in the parts bucket to see what we've got. Stop. Look at that. So I did say I thought I got one. As it happens, the stem has actually come off the mountain bike that I bought, and that is the saddle that came with the mountain bike. So here's a mountain bike saddle, mountain bike stem. It's not going to cause any major issues. I would recommend that they got a decent saddle on it. And it is a 31.6. And I found a clamp. I think it's the right clamp. It was one off a mountain bike I had, and it's a Ragley clamp. So we'll just see if that fits. Should do, because it's the right measurements. So that's on. That's a good fit. See if the saddle fits. There we go. I would call that a win. I know you wouldn't normally have this style on here, but I'm not paying for a clamp. We'll just stick that on. It gives people flexibility to move it up and down. So that's pretty good. So we've got a roller. I think the only thing I need to do now is just take this off. And I'm going to flip the stem as well and make it less aggressive. If it is for a beginner's bike, you want a bit more height on the handlebars. So we'll flip that. Just see what it looks like. I'm going to move them anyway because I don't like them the way they are. So we'll get that off now. Right. Typical. Will be the other 5mm, the one that's a 4mm. The one I can't find because it's not in here. That's annoying. The other 4mm that's in there, the other one altogether. Right, this is going to be interesting. So I'm probably going to end up dropping the forks and dropping everything on the floor here. These Allen keys are getting really knackered. I could do with buying some new ones, or getting one of those ones that's got a 6, a 5 and a 4 on it, all on one stem, like a triangle, just for doing bikes. Right, so when I undo this is now, so the way these work is there's a tube comes up there, this grips onto the tube, but you tension the bearing because it's a cone shape sealed ball race in there, or a cone shape caged ball race. So we'll just get them out of the way. That shouldn't come out, which is wrong, diddly wrong. So I don't know why that's coming out. Let me just have a quick look at that. Probably be a 6mm. Yeah, that's slack. That should not be slack. Don't know why that's not going in. That could do with a little technical nudge. Technical nudge tool. There we go. Chuck all them bits in there. Right. Let's just. Don't know why, but that does not seem to want to go into there. Let's see if that's any better. Well, I've just unscrewed that from the rest of it. Well, the bottom part of it is now spinning. Right. Well, that escalated quickly. Yeah, got a few issues. The stem adjuster's actually stuck in there. I've had this stem adjuster before. They are an absolute nightmare, coming apart, and also the screw breaking. And I couldn't work out why the screw broke a lot in these, and I think I know why now. It's because people just start braying the living daylights out of them or over tightening them. Let's see if we can just slacken this off. These FSA headsets are quite good, but they're a bit of a pig to get moving sometimes. That's it, once you get them up, you can get that split collar out. That's it, and this should just drop off now. There you go, so it's not a sealed race, it is a full race, so give them a clean. So we can get that to balance there without it's teddy all over the place. Right. Get the wheel off and see if we can knock what's left of the headset mounting bolt out of it. Shut that one out. Right, so what I need is something just to drop down there and knock that out. So I'm just going to run. Are we there? Recording. Right, so I've managed to clean the thread out, and you can see that that's going in nice and straight, and it's canted to one side, so we're just going to try and straighten it up now. Ideally, there we go, we've got it out. Right, that's better. Right, they are an absolute nightmare. So while you're there, I might as well show you how they're supposed to go together. So now we've got everything to pieces. Can't find the rest of it. Chucked it on the floor already. Right, so it has a bottom piece with an index key in that's supposed to sit in there. Right. Then it has a top piece which I thought had an index key in, but this one doesn't. That's supposed to sit there. And I think what the problem with this was, it was a little bit too high, but I think I'd slackened it off a little bit too far. So the idea is that I'd not realised it was one of these. If I'd realised it was one of these, I wouldn't have even touched it. So the idea is that sits there like that. That's keyed in there, it can't move. That sits there snug like that, and then you drop it in, and it's supposed to sit flush with the top of the fork tube. Like that. So this one's a little bit tight, but there we go. And the idea is that's supposed to sit flush. Now it wasn't sitting flush for starters, so it was wrong. Now there is a torque rating on these, so it's maximum 8 Newton meters. Now I find if you go to 8 Newton meters, it's a little bit too much. So actually you're better off going slightly under. So I would say probably about 6 if you can get away with it. Now I think that's a 6mm. So I need a 6mm bit, and we need to set that to 6 Newton meters, which is that's 6. Well, actually, we'll set it to 7. Now see if we can do it without having to go too hard there. Right, that's it. That's all it needs. That shouldn't come out now. If it's an issue and it does start to come out, see, the thing is, you're not supposed to put a lot of pressure on these. And the trouble is, people crank down on that too much to tighten it up. So what we'll do now is, while we've got all this off, we'll give this a service. I wasn't going to bother because I thought it was a fixed race, but obviously it's not. It's not as good as I thought it was. So just give that a quick wipe out in there. Same with the top. Just give that a quick clean out. So I thought all FSAs were sealed race, but obviously this is the special Halfords version of it. So we'll just wipe off the excess grease, and then we'll drop it in and repack it. Just give this a good clean out. Make sure all the race is clean. So effectively, this is the outer channel of the race, or the inner the cone with the cup and cone. The cone's in the frame. Doesn't look too bad. I can't see any pitting. It felt smooth enough, which is why I thought it was a sealed race. So we just lube this up with some of my magic red grease. The only time you should be using red grease, because it is a loose fitting. So we'll just put a nice bead of it round there for it to bed onto, and what I'll do is I'll force them into the back of the cage all the way along. We should get some. There's a proper method for packing caged bearings like this, but to be honest, this isn't the kind of bearing that's going to be taking a lot of wear. So it should just be able to drop straight on there now. It feels reasonably smooth. Check I put it in the right way up yet. Drop that on, that's the, oops. That's why it's a bit more visible than it should have been. Right. So that's nice and smooth. So we're just going to rinse and repeat on this one. So just give this bearing a quick wipe out, just check it first, see if it's damaged. Just got to be gentle with this. They are quite flexible, these cages. If you're not flexible, they're not robust. So just got to be careful when you're cleaning it off. Just checking for visible signs of rust and damage. All the balls look reasonably good. This is the one that's going to go. If any of them go, it's the bottom one. It looks fine. So just give that same thing again. We'll just give it a quick squirt in its balls. Never fails to squirt your balls with grease. It never hurts to squirt your balls with grease, because grease is the word. It's the word that you've heard. Right. So that can sit on there, because I can't do it upside down. We're just going to squirt a load more on the outside, and that'll sit in the cup then. Right, so the trick with these FSA ones is there is actually a little rubber O-ring inside there that will grip the fork. So try not to get too much grease on your actual fork shaft as well. So don't grease your shaft, grease your balls but not your shaft. I know that seems counterintuitive, but in this case it doesn't pay to have a well-greased shaft. There you go, so the thing should hold it, but it's not going to, just to be awkward. Right, that'll be why, because that didn't want to go on yet. We're missing some bits. Right. Should hold it now, so that'll be no idea why you stopped recording then. Right, anyway, not because I keep saying stupid things like that. Let's stick let's do it that way. I like it front to back. Right, so we'll stick these rings on now. So generally as a rule I like to have all the rings on, and then another ring on the top. So this is what I mean when I said you've got to be careful when you tighten it up, because sometimes you can't get the rings back on because it just pushes it out enough. There we go. But they are tight, but not that tight. So we'll get these over. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. Yeah, they're a bit of a funny one, these. So what I'm going to try and do, because I know these are a bit of a bugger, is sometimes it's easier to leave that on top. And it works better. Now we were going to flip that over, weren't we? Or we're just going to leave it. I'd really like to flip that over. Yeah, we'll leave it. Look, I think it'll look better. Well, let's stick it on and have a look, shall we? Let's just take a bit more out of these. Sorry, I'm stood in your way, you can't see. My shoulder won't take this. Let's try that way round. There we go. See what that looks like. I think I'm going to flip it. I think I'm going to flip it. I think we've got little screws in here. Probably should have just flipped it and then done this afterwards. But hey ho. Put that in my pocket. My pocket's full of grease now. Probably should have undone the bottom ones first because now I've got to contend with the cables. There we go. Yeah, it would have been nice to put a different stem on these, but I haven't got another stem. This is where it's going to fly on the floor. Let's just chuck that down there, chuck that down there, grab hold of this and flip it. That's it. That's what we're talking about. Right, so in theory when I drop the other one on, that should actually this one's not going to be that bad. I can put it underneath. So I do like to leave one on top, and it just helps it a bit. So I appear to have lost the other screw. Never mind, at least that was a normal screw. How I've managed to lose the other screw. Oh no, there it is. So again, you do not need to crank down this on this hard. You just do it until your head knock stops. Hopefully this will centre itself up in a minute. If not, we'll have to do some manual centering. Yeah, it's going to centre itself up. Right, that's it. Shouldn't need to be any tighter than that. That feels okay. I can't feel any knot. So all we've got to do now is just try and eye it in so it's almost there. We'll centre it up when we get this on. I think unlike the other Planet X ones, this one's the same top and bottom. Some of the Planet X ones aren't, they're slightly different top and bottom. This is where we have to start balancing everything up. Try and get your gap at the top and the bottom the same. That's nowhere near. It's starting to get better. So be slightly more aggressive on the top if you're tightening the bottom. And you can always trim them out afterwards, because as you tighten up the bottom, it'll pinch that one closer anyway. And try and keep it consistent across the top too as well, so you're not hit strange pressures. Right, so the main thing I need to do now is just centre it, so a little bit too tight. Yes, let me just level the bike up. And that's not a million miles away from it. That looks okay actually, I'm quite pleased with that. And look balanced wise. Right. Need a slightly smaller one now. So it's a similar, it's a 6 Newton meters. I'm not going to bother looking because I know it is. A bit more on this one. That's it. I'll just check these bottom ones. There you go. All good. Right. Just need to stick some anti-slip on that because it's obviously getting some galvanic interference with the right. Back in the game. Crisis averted. I think that does look a bit better. It's not. It kind of ruins the line of the bike a bit, but I think it's going to be better because it's a beginner's bike. I put the bars on so they're less aggressive as well, so kind of gone for that look there. We can tilt them up a bit if needed, but I think they're fine. I'll sit on the bike and have a look at it. I think they're okay. Everything looks like it's where it should be. Obviously now we've got to the bottom of that, so that's nice and clean. We've cleaned all that lot out. We've re-greased the headset, so the bike's pretty much had a full service now. We've done the front bearings, so we've completely packed, re-greased them. We've packed and re-greased them and reseated that. That's moving lovely. We'll get a quick head check when we get it down. We'll send to the wheels. The only thing we're going to do now is just check this thing. So the next job is to get that off. So I need the big spatula. It's on here somewhere. I don't know if it's because I've seen it. Just bear with me while I enjoy my tea. I did drop a washer out the back of that. I was right, it didn't need it, and it could probably lose that one, to be honest. As soon as you start moving that away from the hub, the centre, you put in more twisting force on it. The only reason I thought it might have been done. So I don't think they might not be the original brakes, but we'll see. There seems to be some kind of locking mechanism on that as well, although it appears to might not be working. Weird. Look, the brake pads are upside down, they're not right. Whoa, we've got an escaping chicken. Sounds like we've got an escaping chicken. Oh dear. Oh no, they've caught it. I'm being mean. Trouble is the chickens are taking over the world. You know what I mean? Chicken run. We're up to some of them chickens. They bloody well are, I'll tell you. Right. Why am I using the stool as a parts bucket? Right. Now I know this is kicking around somewhere because I've seen it. I used it the other day. So it's right here. There we go. So, crank extractor. So make sure that this is wound out. And that there's not a bolting on the other side. Just get this as far as you can. Turn this in and just hope it doesn't chew all the threads up. Right, what are we going to do? Is this one? Is it 15? I can't remember if it's a 15 or not. It's a 15. So we do get to use the bike spanner still. Ooh, it's a tough one. Oh. This one doesn't want to come off. Whereas my shoulders knackered and I can't put enough force on this. go, it's gone now. Felt it broke. I was just about to give it a clatter with a hammer. I might still give it a clatter with a hammer. That's on really tight. I guess that's not the problem. When I thought it might be this that hadn't been tightened up properly, that was probably over too tight. Just so we find out it's actually just ripping the threads out of there. That's it. Oh, there goes the spanner on the floor. Second one of these I've taken off this week. I've got months without taking one of them off. Right, it looks okay. Oh, so we've got a sealed bearing in there. So we'll just check that out. I'm probably inclined to leave it if it's a sealed bearing because it seems to be running smoothly. And some bearings have some natural play in them. So all we'll do is we'll just check that that is done up properly, and then we'll do a quick sense check on it. Problem is I'd eaten a load of these, so these are big spanner. Nope. Next one, it's a 32, I'm pretty sure. Right, so this is, so on the right hand side this is the opposite thread, so I have to imagine I'm tightening it up. This one. Nope, that's fine, that ain't going nowhere. Other than smashing my hand to pieces. That's got a nice big dent in my hand there. Bling! Right. Right back in there. So that one's good to go, but while we've got it off, we will just take the opportunity to get in there and clean some of the bits that we don't normally have room to clean. That looks good. Stick this on. Take it off the aforementioned. Right. Stick her back on then. Grease. So there's a lot of debate on this. I think I've mentioned it before. You should grease these because what you want is you do want them to slide in. And the people say, oh, you'll get a false reading. Well, actually, yes, I want a false reading. I want it to get in as far as it possibly can. Because if it gets in not quite as far and snags up, and then you torque it up, and then you move it around, because it's generally jiggling around quite a bit when you're using it, then potentially it's going to slacken off, and then it will start moving around and start to wear the square taper out, and that's not a good thing with these. That's usually what kills them. So, right. And same with that, you want some grease on the back of there too, because that's obviously bearing down when we are tightening it up. So just some else this stuff, use your common sense. Don't go to the forums, use your common sense. You know, people say, oh, you'll get a false reading. Good. I want to crank it down harder before it goes click. Just a quick tidy up on the thing, get a bit out of hand here. And then that'll end up falling over. So one will end up in tears. And I've lost the big torque wrench that now needs checking that it's on 40. So again, with everything else, it's nearly always 40. Done with that, that can go back in there. That would be tidy. This is going to be quite the torque wrench is this. The ratchet mechanism on this torque wrench is absolutely knackered. So it might be we have a take the torque wrench to pieces video. So if you saw, we had to crank this off quite a bit to get it off. That's right, you shouldn't really use your torque wrench to do this because you knacker the ratchet. You should just finish it off with that. So I'm going to go and what's that one? That's the 6. I'm going to get this one out. Get as far as I can with this, which won't be very far. I was still only on the first bike and I was hoping to get onto the second bike. Still going to take pictures of this because I wanted to get it up for sale today. Just check we are on. So that's 42. Minus 2 is there, so we were bang on still. The only difference is we just haven't hit it yet. 40 Newton meters is actually quite a lot. There we go. Just check that's good. Well, that's a good example of it torqued, but then it's moved again. I think that's good. Right, let's just check everything's good still. Obviously we've upset all the gears because we've wangled them up and down and angled them. So that's a half. Yeah. That's it, just take it up. The adjustment. Pretty good actually, quite pleased with that. Right, so I think that's it. I think we've pretty much cracked it. Pair of wheels we've got off eBay, still got a slight movement we've got to take out of that one. Front one's fine. Bearings are good, we've done the bearings on that, checked the back ones, put a new cog on. Checked that, retorqued that, hadn't had to do anything to that, stuck that on, stuck one of them on, flipped that, repacked all that, put some anti-seize in there to stop that from being scabby. I think we're pretty much good to go there. I think actually that's not a bad bike. Quite pleased with that. We'll get that stuck up on eBay and Marketplace, and I'll let you know how much we got for it. So I'm probably going to pitch it maybe 260, 270 and let them beat me down. Might stick it on 280 and then take 250 for it. So that's all right. That quite pleased with that. That looks not a bad bike. Like I said, there's probably room to get some bigger tyres in there, to be honest. So you probably could stick some bigger ones on. You won't probably want to go, you know, much over a 28, but it will take a 28. No, that's all right, that. There's one thing I do need to check. I need to check what the frame size is, because as with most Boardmans, they don't always have the frame size on. So it's centre of that, so it's a 56. I think that's a large, to be honest. I think I'd say that's a large. It's possibly a medium large. Normally you'd measure it to the top tube, so that's a 52, or where that top tube projects to, and it shouldn't be there. So I think that's a 54. If you project it from the top of there, it comes in at about 54. So I think we're looking at a 54 inch, which is actually a medium. It looks like a medium, to be honest. So I'd say that's a medium frame. So I could probably sit on that, to be honest, if I drop the saddle down. Right, all we've got to do now is just see if we can true that up. I won't bother taking you through that, you've seen that, so we'll close this video down now. I'll let you know where we get with it, because that's not bad actually. I think we've ended up with a fairly decent bike from a frame, a couple of wheels we got off eBay. Total, all I've got into this now is 60 quid basically. So if I sell it for 260, I've made 200 quid. So, you know, that's covered the couple of hours I've been working and some of the bits out of my parts bucket. I will stick a basket on that. Let's see if we can find a nice looking one. A couple of screws. What have we got? I don't know what size screws they are. I think they're next size down from them, to be honest. I don't know. That's what they are looking for. I don't know, we could find some tidges in here. No. Those two might do. They fit. Stick those in. Bit of copper slip on there as well. For exactly that reason, because it's already furred up in there. I've lost me little one. There she is. So what I'll do is I'll clean the frame up, but I won't make you suffer me watching me clean the frame up. It's a nice tidy bike. This good starter bike. You know, it's probably on a par with an Alliez. It's got carbon forks. As it turns out, it's got a carbon steer tube, which is unusual because normally they have steel tube and carbon forks. But it's the lower parts that are carbon. So I think all we've got to do now is just put a couple of plugs in there. See if we can find some really tiny ones to use as plugs. See if they fit. Might be too big then. Wrong size. Yeah, they're too big. Why are they in that one then? They're in the wrong one. They should be in that one. Looks like a smaller one. Oh, there's all sorts on here. It's just trying to find two that are the same, because obviously you see these, you don't necessarily see the ones underneath the. You have to go and rub it in the screw pot. I've just packed away actually. Go and have a look in the screw pot. See if I can find something ickle and tidgy in here. So there's a little black one there. Right, we'll just stick some anti-seize in them as well. Squeak, squeak. Trying to finally use up that pot of anti-seize. Oh, that's much better now. Annoying. Yeah, the ball end's gone off this one. I had to cut it off because they got chewed up. So I haven't got the ball end on this one to make this bit easier. So you can do it off at a slight angle. Still get them done up. That one's okay. That's easier. Just wing it about a bit. a nice light aluminium bike rack on here, bottle rack on there. What more could you want from the world? Right. I think that's it. That's not bad. That's not a bad job at all. That, quite pleased with that. See if this is yeah. In fact, I guess it's outside there, but we'll leave it because it's not graunchy. And if it's not graunchy, you might as well leave it. I managed a massive laceration in my finger there. That's that bloody headset. I hate them headsets. Right then, I think that's good to go. All we need to do is just give it a quick wash and a wipe down, and we'll chuck it on eBay. Right, job's a good one. Hope that was useful. Usual comments down below, like, subscribe, give it some beeply booply, as Vice Grip says, and we'll crack on with the next one. So the next one's the other skip bike, so we'll crack on to that now, and I will just true up that wheel, but I'm not going to make you watch that because it's a bit faffy and this video's already probably long enough. Right, crack on. Job's a good one. Catch you later.